Then I mentioned that we're going to have some sewers that we're going to have to upgrade. These include sewers on Park, Mechanic Street, State, Downey, Prospect, through Alma College campus, Hazen Street, and Court Avenue. This part of the project was likely to begin in the springtime. We'll probably start with Mechanic Street, and over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be upgrading the size of the other two, the rest of the streets on the list. And finally, we'll be upgrading lift station 7, which is near Scotland Oil, and then lift station 8, which is on Riverview. For lift station 8, we're also planning to install a backup generator so that if there is a problem with power at the same time, that there's high water, we don't, there's one less thing that we have to worry about. We hope we can alleviate some problems. And with that, I'll open it up with questions to the City Commission. We are planning to have at least 2 more presentations. One talking about what to expect from a homeowner if you live in those 2 districts, what to expect for the inspection, what type of improvements, how the process will work. And then finally we'll have another section about if you live in those districts and you go to sell your home, what changes will occur with that, because we do have a new procedure in place to make sure that property owners that buy a house in those districts know that they're getting a house that doesn't have a problem. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Any members? Yes, Greg.
Yeah, the first phase of this, or the first 2 phases, these areas we're concentrating on, what percentage of that 1,000 gallons a day during a storm event did the engineers estimate that we're going to take care of? I mean, are we going to?
That's basically impossible.
They didn't give us an estimate at all?
That's a very tough question. We've talked to the city of Ann Arbor, who has an excellent program, and we've kind of modeled our program after theirs. It's difficult. They do know that the program works. They do know that it reduces the problem of trying to estimate how much you're going to save by doing that. It's very difficult to do.
I presume after a few years we would have some idea of the differences, right? After we gather some data. But you can't forecast it very, very well.
We don't necessarily have to get it down to the state thresholds in order to solve the problems for our residents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we can just get it down low enough so that they don't have a problem, I expect a large number of our residents will say we have a success. From the city staff, we of course like to get it down lower so that we don't have to pay for the additional cost of treating that water.
Now this will take about 3 years, you said?
This is a 3-year program.
Now, is this the first phase of a larger program? I mean, part of it is, I'm assuming you're never done with this, or is there...
That's an excellent question. The problem that we're experiencing with excess water is true in all parts of the city. It's just that we're targeting, at this point, the ones that have the biggest problem and where they have both in terms of the most inflow and infiltration, and where we're experiencing the most backups. But that doesn't mean that the other areas of town don't have problems and aren't contributing to the problem. I would anticipate that in the future we'll probably try to expand this to cover more parts of the city. One of the decisions that the City Commission made previously, which I think was a wise one, was that when we have street projects, we're going to be replacing the sewer lines. Our sewer lines are old, which means that they have leaks and water is coming in from the ground. By replacing the sewer lines, we're going to be reducing a large part of the problem, but we're still going to have the problems with the sump pumps and the flooding drains that we're not addressing.
So we started with, in a sense, we've started with the worst, the
Right.
areas where the problem was most severe, and we're kind of working out from there as we can.
Right, and we do know that we have problems, in the south part of town, that if the gemstone property ever fully developed, we do have to upsize, some of the sewer lines there in order to meet the capacity needs. And we have been working on, improving that, but that will take some time. You know, from one perspective, that gemstone hasn't taken off, so we give it a little bit more time to fix it up. It'd be a good problem to have, but we do know that we have to solve that problem.
Bill, with regard to the cost to correct the properties at $5,000 per unit, perhaps you'd want to address that for the benefit of viewers as to how that cost is going to be handled, so they don't have to be concerned about writing $5,000 checks.
Yeah, the cost is gonna be, city's gonna pay for the cost using bonds, and then we'll repay the bonds through our user charges, which means that the homeowners will not be receiving a $5,000 bill to fix the problem. The reason that we decided to do that is when the homes were built, they were often built according to what was then a legal practice of having sump pumps and footing drains go to the sanitary. It wasn't until the 1970s that that became an illegal practice. And that, if you look at the city of Alma, most of our homes were built prior to 1970. It doesn't matter which part of the city you look in, they're built before that, and so it's going to be a universal problem. We're going to eventually solve the problem, probably in the same fashion here. So it's going to, we're not getting your neighborhood this time. Next time we'll probably be hitting your neighborhood.
You might also want to mention who's going to actually do it. We've got contractors that we've bid out.
That's a good question. We've solicited bids from various contractors. We're going to talk about this in more detail in the next presentation. But homeowners will have a choice of 4 or 5 contractors to choose from. At the next presentation we have about this, Ron will go into greater detail as to how that will work.
Good. Anything else? Well, thank you very much for an informative presentation. We have a motion and a second. Is there, all those in favor of receipt, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think it's received. Is there a motion to pay the appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The appropriations are approved.